Hold on. Still actively draw animals. At one point, at one point each semester, there's a huge quarter horse that's brought into the building, and students actively study the anatomy of these animals and draw. And that all, of course, goes back to this man, the great Thomas Eakins, one of the most important artists that have ever come out of PAFA, a controversial figure, certainly. I hesitated showing you all this image tonight because I know we all are dog lovers and animal lovers, but it's related to the image that I showed you of the student sketching the little puppy in class, because this is one of the drawings that we own in PAFA's that we have in PAFA's collection, that is of a dog dissection that Thomas Eakins did. He dissected human bodies to learn about anatomy. He dissected animals. There are plaster casts from these dissections in PAFA's collection as well. So this is a drawing of a hind quarter of a dog, and you can see how he's studying the bone and the musculature, so that when he's going to draw or to paint these animals, he has a more full idea of the inside of the animal as well. And I don't know if you can see, at least it was covering my screen, the little, but if you look at this beautiful image on the right, and it's very faint, but there are 3 portraits to the right of the cast drawing of sleeping dogs that Thomas Eakins did. And I think they show a softer side of his interest in dogs and love for dogs. Oops. As do these photos. This is Thomas Eakins at about the age of 70 with his dogs on Mount Vernon Street. I believe this is where he lived, where the Mural Arts offices are now. And I believe this is there. You know, this image on the left is described as him tweaking the ear of his dog. One could also argue that maybe he's studying that ear and thinking about how he would draw it. It seems to me that he's looking at it very closely. And the other image is him training his dog doing tricks in the courtyard. So a lover of animals, a lover of dogs is right at the core of PAFA's collection, and really its whole history and legacy. I'm clicking on there. Oh, this is something that I had to include. This is Franklin C. Watkins' portrait of Lucky, and it may be one of my absolute favorite images of a dog in this collection. It was done in 1959, and I was going back and looking, because I have to say, I'm sad to say that I didn't know a lot about Franklin Watkins. So I wanted to go back and learn a little bit about him. And what's interesting is he talked about that during his time at the Academy, the legacy of Thomas Eakins was very heavy on all the students, including this anatomy drawing. So a lot of what he was trying to do was to escape that very anatomical, academic style of painting animals. So in this case, I think this is one of those dog portraits that does what I want a dog portrait to do, because you understand Lucky's personality, and you think, boy, he doesn't look very lucky. Or at least I don't think he looks very lucky. Anecdotally, when we had this painting up a few years ago as part of a Nick Cave exhibition that we did, which I'll show you in a minute, someone told me that Lucky belonged to a Philadelphia socialite. So if any of you know anything about that, I would love to hear more. And that Franklin Watkins was commissioned to paint this portrait of her. What else I love about Lucky is that Lucky is positioned on this incredibly beautiful velvety chair that is like a throne. Like Lucky should be honored as she or he is. And it tied right in for me with this piece that we have by Nick Cave. And a few years ago, this was the dog show I was referencing, we were able to install 3 of his rescue sculptures. That's the series that he did. Some surrounded by the historic works with dogs in our collections. You can see a Thomas Sully in the background of this image, for example. And then some upstairs in our historic collection. But as many of you know, Nick Cave is obsessed with those found objects. So these are all found ceramic dogs that he's put on these beautiful found chairs that he sources all this material from thrift stores. So he was interested in this idea about how we rescue objects, we rescue dogs. And then for PAFA, he took it one step further in thinking about how collections are actually sources for rescue. You know, I like to imagine these as the ultimate fantasy world for these dogs. They're sitting on this throne and being honored, and this dog is very regal. Makes you think of all those historic portraits of sort of dogs representing class and fidelity and loyalty. But he's surrounded with all these incredibly beautiful birds and beads in this throne-like cocoon that I just think is quite beautiful. And finally, Sarah's here. Why I love these works, and actually Sarah, oh, and Anne has one. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about the print because Anne McCollum is showing the print and I would love to hear what she has to say about it. But I'll tell you why I have to say, and I'm not just saying that because Sarah McEnany's here, but she is, I think, perhaps the queen of painting dogs. I love Sarah's paintings of dogs, I guess, and cats. But especially dogs. And one of the things that has made me, that I've been thinking all anew about this is that, you know, I'm not an artist, but as an artist, you spend so much time in your studios. And now spending so much time working at home alone, I think we have a whole new respect for what it is that these animals do for us every day. What I love about these images of Sarah's studio is that not only are there dogs and cats lying about on the floor, but if you look on the walls, she has the paintings that she's done of her dogs and cats as well. So these are just a very few of my favorites from the collection. And Karen, I'll invite you to talk about some collections from the Fabric Workshop. Can I find you, Karen? Are you muted?
Myself. Okay.
There you go.
Good. So thank you for this invitation to dig through the Fabric Workshop collection. I was able to just put in the search engine dogs, and I was so surprised and delighted to see how many things popped up in the collection database, including just some historic images of celebrations and office shots and installation shots. There's some shots of a dog in Mel Chin's installation, just because the Fabric Workshop has had a long history in supporting dogs and working with dogs, and that continues on till today. So I thought I started with William Wegman's piece because it speaks to just the kind of stoic nature of that dog, the face, and just kind of not totally impressed with what the person has done with them, with the wig and the outfit and whatnot. But it's just so beautiful. And as you look through William's photos, there's always a stoic Weimaraner and these kind of ridiculous outfits that I love so much. And doing a little research, of course, into William's work, you find out that his first dog from 1982 was named Man Ray, and then he went on to only have Weimaraners, but then took like a 4-year break after his first dog passed away, which I thought was so sweet, and but then continued to do a lot of photography with his dogs. For the Fabric Workshop, it was a part of a 25-year anniversary celebration, and for this celebration, it was a retrospective of his work, but also the opportunity to create scarves out of these dogs so you could really wear the dogs if you needed to. But I thought this was really a good way to start. And then, so on to the next photo, okay. And so then the other aspect of the Fabric Workshop that I love so much is all these kind of curated projects where artists are invited to do something specific. In this case, it was an invitation to design wallpaper. And so this is a William Wegman dog wallpaper, and it's kind of zoomed in, but it's the alphabet that I thought would be interesting. Because one of the things that I love about dogs is they remind us that we're human. And so especially when you think about residency and the nature of the Fabric Workshop, that a lot of these artists are spending a lot of time with us and with the museum, and you really get to know them as people. And so you really get to know their dogs in the same way. And I'm just trying to scroll to the next image here, just having a little bit of issue getting, okay, there we go. So this is an interesting project that I read up a lot about in preparation for this presentation. This is Laurie Anderson's work. And these are these large, I can share some installation views, but these are some large scale images that were made. There's some drawings, text, sculptures, projections, and sound in this installation. And true to Fabric Workshop, they use materials such as mud, foil, iron, chalk, and ashes. And the whole design that Laurie was thinking about was the diary, specifically the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and also known as the Great Liberation Through Hearing in the Bardo. And it was all about love and death and the many levels of dreaming and illusion. But what happened in this project is, I just want to read you a quote from Laurie because it's really beautiful. So here it goes. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, also known as the Great Liberation of the Hearing in the Bardo is described as the 49-day period between death and rebirth. The book is a detailed description of the way that the mind dissolves and what the spirit experiences in this transition. And in 2011, Lola Bell, my small rat terrier, died after a long illness. For 12 years, she had been my constant and faithful companion. Counting 49 days from Lola Bell's death, I realized that according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Lola Bell would be reborn on my birthday, which is June 5th, which I thought was really lovely. Let's go down to the next slide if I can get to it. Okay, so then this is something altogether different, but this is Roy DeForest's piece. It's available in our shop, but he made a bag that is the size of his dog, Gribbly. So this is a bag for dogs, or for a certain size dog, which I thought was really cute. And then so then I wanted to just kind of do a little conceptual leap, if you will, and think about the friends of dogs, and was really interested in this project that is in our collection. It is by Maria Fernanda Cardosa, and she researched the history of the flea circus and did an entire installation of a flea circus that is in our collection right now. And this traveled to the Exploratorium in San Francisco and the Pompidou in France. But it is a real flea circus, although we don't have the fleas in our collection, thankfully. But if we ever were to remount it, I wonder what our registrar would think about putting the fleas back. But she learned how to train them. She really went into all the research that goes into flea circus. So then the next image is the detail of the flea. There's some really great footage of all the installation shots of this project, which I was very excited to think about how one trains a flea. I think if dogs knew how to train fleas, that would be a big coup on their part. And then the next image is the dogs in the Fabric Workshop collection by way of the dogs that are cared for by the people that I work with. This is Juno. Ash belongs to Juno. Ash is in our education department. And Juno, as far as I know, loves to go to the park and is also really interested in acquiring sticks that are bigger than Juno can handle. So they're big logs. So that is ambition on part of Juno. This is Truman. Truman belongs to Christina Vassallo, our executive director. And I chose this image to just indicate just the regal nature of Truman, that he is a princess and a pea, that he deserves the treatment of 3 pillows. And he often comes to the Fabric Workshop to rule us from his vantage point. And then the last image are my 2 dogs. On the orange dog is Maggie, and she is a rescue that we rescued about 10 years ago. So she's about 12 to 13 now, I think. And then on the right is our new puppy, and Birdie, and she's 2 years old. We rescued her on the pretense that she was a Saint Bernard, but my philosophy as a crazy dog lady is that she met Maggie and then decided that maybe I better look like her instead. And so that is, in conclusion, that is my presentation on art through the ages, dogs through the ages. Thank you.
Do you want to share do you have a personal artwork you want to share?
I think most of my dog works are thrift store finds, so I can gather some. If you gather yours, I'll get some in the meantime.
Do you want me to talk about mine then?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop share. All right, we're back. Hello, everyone.
Also, there's a lot. Truman has made an appearance as well, down here on the bottom, or wherever it is on your screen. So please bring out your dogs.
Oh, there. There's Truman. So this is the portrait that guards my back during every meeting. I wish you could all see it in person. It's of my dog, whose name is Ron. By if Sarah McEnany's the queen of dog paintings, Paul Mullins, who's an artist based in Pittsburgh that used to be in San Francisco that I've been lucky enough to get to know. Ronnie took a trip to Pittsburgh last Christmas and was able to visit Iman and Paul. And apparently, Paul took a photo of Ronnie, and when they came to visit us in Philadelphia, this painting was given to us. And I have to say that I cried. I wept and I wept. It's probably my greatest treasure, because like any good portraitist or any good painter, I have never seen any other image that has ever captured who she is so well. The worry that is Ronnie is in this portrait. And I'm going to share my screen for one more minute because I have to show, since you're all dog lovers, just two other examples of Paul's work. This is a recent set of drawings that he shared with me. And he may be on this call, but he may not want to participate. But what's interesting is that, we talk a lot about how the dogs become, we project our emotions onto the dogs. So this series of drawings is really about mental illness, about human mental illness. And these are their beloved pities. And then finally, which I'll put a link to this in the chat as soon as we're onto the next part, is that their beloved dog Merv, who passed away sadly. Paul did a figure drawing with Merv book that you can get through Printed Matter, which I'll put the link at. And this is one of the great images of Merv just plopped out and a way of studying negative space. So thank you, Paul. I know you're on this call. So it's honestly a treasure in my life. So thank you. Karen, do you want to go?
Yeah.
So open it up.
I think I'll bring up just a small portraiture as well for Birdie, which is just a wee little felted version of Birdie. It's as you can see, my hand for scale. But this is a Nova Scotian artist on the east coast of Canada. And the way that she signs her work is with a little paw print. So I'm going to commission one of Maggie too. But I think because we didn't know what Birdie was going to look like as a puppy, this is kind of a good guess. And so it was just a little felted dog.
Lovely. And I know Senya, you wanted to share. Is it okay if I call on you first? If I can't, I'm having trouble finding everyone. I can't unmute you if I can't find you.
Oh, I unmuted myself just now.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, so many familiar faces, so many new faces. I'm all ready for you. My guy is somewhere roaming. Maybe he'll make an appearance, but I wanted to talk tonight about the French Bulldog. So I have a French Bulldog. His name is Lamb Chop. And I'll show you some pictures of him. I can't do a screen share, right, Jodi? I have to show you pictures. That's fine.
Sorry.
So bear with me. I rigged up this iPad situation. Let's see how this goes. So for a little bit of history, the French Bulldog was likely bred in the mid-1800s, early to mid-1800s, between UK toy bulldogs and a certain kind of French dog. So by the mid-1800s, they were in existence in Britain and on the continent. One source of their spread were English lace makers from Nottingham who traveled to the continent, to France specifically, after their jobs in Britain were over. And the French Bulldog first came to the United States in 1896, and it was accepted as an AKC breed in 1898. And some very important people, including the Rockefellers and the Morgans, were petitioning for the French Bulldog to be accepted as a breed in the Kennel Club. So it comes with a great history, and also sort of a great a narrative as well. So I'll show you a couple of French Bulldogs, and perhaps what they're known for will make more sense. So they're said to be, quote, clowns in the cloaks of philosophers. And so tonight I'll just show you 3 examples from our history, perhaps in chronological order, if this is loaded, but this might not be, so we'll give that a skip. One of the most famous pictures of French Bulldogs have been drawn by Henri Toulouse-Lautrec. So you can see an example of his French Bulldog here. Lautrec also painted and drew many other dogs, one of which is actually in the collection of the PMA here in Philadelphia. So he was a big fan of dogs, and so you could see this one here. I could put a link to this in the chat once my little speech is over. I'll also draw your attention to, is this loaded? Oh no, bear with me. To this painting, which might be my favorite painting by the Russian artist Valentin Serov. And it is of a prince and his bulldog. This bulldog happens to look very much like my own. And there are even some archival photographs of him painting this painting in 1903 in St. Petersburg. It's very interesting. Again, I'll link you to this so you can look closer, but the dog itself doesn't necessarily have all the characteristics of what we would say a contemporary French Bulldog today. They're bicephalic dogs, which means that they are short-nosed dogs and they have these bat ears. There are different, breed strains within the breed, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology, but some French Bulldogs are very small, very squat. They have trouble breathing and they snore a lot. Other French Bulldogs, like mine, is very tall, very muscular, doesn't have any breathing problems. So there are many different sort of faces to the French Bulldog, and it's very interesting that if you look at this archival photograph, I don't know if the dog itself has quite a resemblance to its own portrait. There's definitely some form of artistic interpretation in the French Bulldog in this example from 1903. And finally, I'll just pull out my own here. So we have first a drawing by the British artist Laura Pierce, which was gifted to us after a friend stayed with us in our apartment in New York as a gift. He sent us this beautiful, hyper-realist drawing of Lamb Chop looking out like the king he is on his kingdom. And so this is a treasure. We have this hanging. I pulled it straight off the wall. And the other one was made by our wonderful landlord of 5 years in Brooklyn, also an artist, Claire Corey. And she painted, it's a very small, as you can see my hand for size, a very small, intimate picture of him sleeping with the rays of sunshine as he loved to in her building back in Brooklyn. And so this is another treasure I adore. And so I think the French Bulldog is a very interesting dog. It has a very funny history. They are my little clowns, but they are very smart. So the philosophers are within them. I encourage you to follow me on Instagram. I forgot to say, I'm the Jensen Bryan Curator at the Print Center. That sort of should have superseded my dog story. But so you please follow me at the Print Center here in Philadelphia, or on my own Instagram handle. I'll include it in the link. I have a hashtag where I tag all the dog paintings I see in museums around the world. So I'll include that hashtag. It's Dogs of Senya. You could see the Serov painting from Russia, as well as paintings of dogs from all over the world where I've traveled. So thank you so much, and looking forward to reconvening and reuniting with all of you at the Print Center, at PAFA, at the Fabric Workshop, all very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think, Fradel, I'm going to unmute you, because
Yeah,
you also have looks like you have a friend.
This is Marcel. He's my fourth Frenchie. The first one I had people actually stop their cars and said, "What is that?" And now they're very popular, which is not good for the breed. It's good for me because I can find clothes with Frenchies on them and all kinds of things like that. And I have some Frenchie artwork that I've made in my fabric work, my fabric designs.
Lovely. Well, thank you. And it's good to see you too. Is there anyone else that wants to share? Just put, even if you don't put your, yeah. Will.
Hi.
Hi, Will. How are you?
Well, thanks for doing this.
And Emily.
Hi, Jodi.
Hi.
My own screen. Can everybody see me? No.
We can see you, yeah.
Okay, so okay. I have one painting I did of a dog, which I thought I'd show you. It was my family dog when I was, I don't know. I painted him, was in the 60s, like 1963, 64. Did a lot of paintings of cats and dogs at that time.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
So can I show it to you?
What happened? You have somebody else's name up there.
Yeah, I think someone was unmuted. You're good now.
Okay, so okay, here's, can you see that? No.
Here, you can see on your screen up there, you
I
can see
can
how
see
it
it,
looks. Yeah.
Anyway.
He painted a lot of this dog, and just wanted to show you one, but they're wonderful.
And you say that was early?
In the 60s.
60s.
Something like that.
I think you did it when you had the residency at Penn, actually, in
Okay.
67.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it.
Thank you. That's great. And I mentioned it, but we do have a great photo by Will in the collection of a blacksmith with his dog. That do a Google, it's in there, and look it up. So thank you for coming. It's nice to see you both. And I think Sarah, you had your hand up. Let me unmute you.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Hi, so I have a little painting here. It's by an artist from Portland, Oregon, named Ralph Puget, and it's called Dogs Barking at Weapons. So I don't know how easy it is to see, but there's a bunch of dogs at, like, a luggage carousel at the airport, barking at a whole bunch of guns and grenades and knives. He had a show at Vox Populi where I'm a board member, and I bought it from his show, and I really love it.
Wow. Now, did you say what year it was?
2013.
2013.
So yeah,
Wow.
he's, a youngish artist working today still, shows in Portland and other places, does residencies around. You might see his work up and coming. Ralph Puget, his name is, really great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually really like that. It's kind of not, there were a lot of violent images of dogs actually that I steered away from tonight, but I think that's a whole nother interesting topic.
Yeah, and I just like how they're all like, they all have their leashes and these colors being held back, but they're just barking at these weapons. I love it. So I'm happy to have it tonight.
It's great.
I love it.
Okay. Oh, Sharon, if I can find you, I will unmute you. Oh,
Can you hear me? Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
So this is our puppy Juno, who's come down to say hello and join in. But what I was going to show, and I didn't bring it down, I'm glad I didn't since Juno's here and she would probably break it. But we were gifted a couple of years ago this, let's see if I can, it might even be better, gorgeous Roberto Lugo teapot that Rob made. And this is our Tallulah on one side, and Tallulah died almost 2 years ago. And then on the other side is our other shepherd, Ramona Luna, who is still with us at 11. And Sarah, you can hear me, but one of my favorite things in the world is Sarah's painting Dog Heaven, that my dog Echo, who was born in 1993, appears in with. How many dogs are in that, Sarah?
It's around, it's about 50.
Yes.
When I painted that in 2008, I tried to remember every dog I'd ever known that had gone on to Dog Heaven and put them in the painting.
It's one of my favorite things. And I've had that postcard in my studio since, and took it down to show someone. It might have been Jodi when we were talking about dogs, and I can't figure out where I put it. And so I need another one if you still
Well,
have
I can give you another one. And also that image has been made into a billboard that's at the rail park as a way to try to raise money for future phases of the rail park, because that image shows part of the rail park. So if you're on 12th Street, well, who's going out these days? But if you're taking a walk, come down and walk on the rail park. You can see it from the rail park, and that painting is reproduced on a billboard really nicely.
Awesome. And I'll say one more shout out for Sarah and to Karen for showing Laurie Anderson's work. Sarah and Laurie Anderson gave me permission to make work about my dogs, because I always felt like it wouldn't be taken seriously by the art world, and this sort of deep abiding connection that I have with them. And so thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Laurie, wherever you are. And I'll mute myself now.
No, I actually think that's an incredibly good point. Even on Instagram the other day when I was sharing info about this, I said it was a shame-free space for talking about dog art. And then after I said it, I realized, well, there shouldn't be any shame anyway, because there's a lot of amazing work made about dogs. But I think you make a very good point. And I think, Gwen, were you wanting to share? Oh, let me unmute you. I'm struggling. There we go.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see this. I posted this on Facebook. It's this Brazilian artist that takes a picture of a dog and he adds some pen. Now let's see if you could see this. I tried to. No, you can't see it, can you?
No, sorry.
It's a shame. I have a painting, but it's not here. It's funny how I held it up to see if you could see it.
Is there maybe a link to a website that you could put in the chat for us?
I could share it it's on Facebook. I saw it on Facebook. It's amazing. He takes a real live animal and adds pen and ink to it. And this one is a dog laying down. It has antlers. It's really good. It's really cute. It's funny. But unfortunately, he does, like, the photo of Leonardo da Vinci with all the arms out and everything. So he has the dog with the
Vitruvian
really
Man.
cute,
Yeah.
but I don't know who I could share it to that would see it, because it's on Facebook.
Yeah. If you can get a link to it, you can add it to the chat. You might try. And I think, sorry.
I don't know how to do that, but unfortunately it didn't work. I was holding my phone up to see if I could see it, but I can't.
Yeah.
I get it on another computer. That's the only way I could do it, but I'm not prepared for that. I just joined this last minute.
Totally understand. Thank you. And I think Ashley, I don't see your face, but Ashley Limes, if I can find you.
Hi.
Ah, wait, where are you? There you are. Okay.
Hi, I thought I would just, since we're all sharing, I would share a portrait that I did of my first dog love. This is Trixie, and she was my best friend for about 12 years since I was a child. And this was a portrait relief print that I made of her after she passed away. But dogs definitely leave an imprint on you forever. So thank you so much, Jodi and Karen, for putting this on, and Abby at PAFA for putting this on too. This is wonderful and really heartwarming.
Thank you. Good. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hold on. Making sure I'm managing this correctly. Anyone else want to share? Oh, Christina, let me unmute you. There you go.
Thank you. I have an artwork by Ward Shelley that's in another room, so I don't want to be rude and run off to get it, but it's a cardboard box, and there's a handwritten label on it that says Truman's top teeth. My dog has an underbite, and he created this massive installation in the organization that I used to run, and it was full of cardboard boxes with ideas that he had sourced from Clevelanders. And so that idea was actually given to him by someone who is not me, not an owner of Truman, just someone who, like, in the community loved Truman. And so it's this really awesome kind of conceptual portrait in that it doesn't show his likeness at all, but describes his top teeth because no one can ever see them. So there was a question as to whether he even had top teeth, which I really loved. And I just wanted to also share that this is like literally the best moment of my month. Talk. So thank you for putting it together.
Good, good. Well, we look forward to Truman's like Philadelphia debut after all this. We'll have to do a parade or something. And Anne McCullum, I'm going to unmute you. There you are.
Hey, do so at your own risk. It's very exciting here in the summer office because the fox is running around. So my office assistant, who I'll give you a quick look at, Ollie. Can you see Ollie?
Yes.
Okay. He's on Fox duty right now, which may get a little loud. But this is one of the favorite pieces that I live with. It is by Sarah McAnini. I work a lot remotely, and every moment that I walk by this piece, I feel at home. Because for me, it's not an art studio. It's not a bunch of cats and dogs. It's Ollie and it's me and it's computers. But I still get the same feeling from it. So that is one of the things many things that I love about it, Sarah. In addition to all the wonderful homes that you've given these animals pictured here, and then the portraits of their compatriots above. And Sarah shows at Locke's Gallery. This was a recent show. Feel free to go visit Locke's Gallery and see what they have in store. She also shows in New York. Sarah, did you want to add any pertinent information about this?
I made that print at the Brodsky Center when it was at in New Brunswick. And now the Brodskys at PAFA, which people probably know. And I'm actually working on a project that's sort of semi-stalled right now with the Brodsky at PAFA, where I'm making a bas-relief version of Mango.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be cast in, handmade paper. So I've made the original out of plasticine, and he's patiently waiting to be made into a mold. But it's cool to be working again with the Brodsky now at PAFA.
That's fabulous, Sarah. I didn't know.
I brought out my Kiki Smith, Owl and the Pussycat, since Fabric Workshop is part of this event that I have. So I brought them out to be part of the audience.
Nice. And I think Corey, let me find you. I know. There you are. Oh, good. Welcome.
So I just wanted to contribute by showing everyone this painting that my dad did when he was a kid of his dog Snoopy, and I just love it. So it's followed me everywhere I've moved, and it just overlooks everything. Like just overlooks my room. That's it.
Thank you. And then let's see, let me catch up on where we're at with hands. Okay. Fridell, I believe you have your hand up. Let me unmute you.
Okay.
All right.
Somebody said Marcel was cute. Thank you. I don't know how to do this. What happened? I lost you. Can you see me?
We can see you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. because I have some pictures I could show you if I don't know, but I'm not seeing anything here though. I don't know what happened. Camera, no, I don't know what happened. Can you see?
We can see you, yeah.
Yeah, because years ago I took a workshop. We had a famous painting in fabric. Can you see this?
We can a little bit, it's kind of hard.
Well, it was a Gauguin with 3 puppies. So of course I made them with 3 Frenchies. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. And then I have, well, it's dark in here, but I have an Andy Warhol Frenchie up here. Of course, it's a print. Can you see it?
Yep. So how long have you
Okay.
been collecting Frenchies then?
Oh, forever, forever. I have, well, this cabinet was in my old house, which my kids used to say I had over 50 Frenchies just on the first floor alone. Can you see the cabinet
I think that
with all the dogs?
I think that it's showing up a black screen now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me get the flashlight from my cell phone. Maybe would help.
Yeah, if you want to, maybe we could ask someone else to share, and then once you're at your place, you could raise your hand again. Does that sound good?
Oh, how about here? Can you see it?
Yep.
And this is my own Frenchie, my Warholian Frenchies. Can you see them?
Yep. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So you're welcome. And I think I said, I don't know how to answer, but somebody said she liked my dog Marcel, so thank you.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to share? I could start calling on people if I see dogs in your background. Oh no, Justina. Okay, you're unmuted.
So I'm a huge fan of August Sanders, who was a early 20th century photographer who did a whole series of photographs of men and dogs together in Germany. And so I was inspired by his work, and I've also photographed men, but in domestic spaces. And then while I was doing that, I don't know if you could see this very well, simultaneously was working on women and their dogs. These are women travelers who are basically ride the rails. And so this is Simona and Sound System, and Barbie and Shadow. And so these are just women that I photographed all over the United States, and mostly the dogs are their sole traveling companions. And I was interested in them because they're part of this very masculine culture. So they're kind of outliers in a very macho culture, and then this whole idea of the boy and his dog, and like this is the girl and her dog, and so yeah.
And when were you taking those? Sorry, I think I missed that first part.
Between 2003 and probably 2013.
Oh wow, long.
Yeah, and the women are kind of like butterflies. I actually traveled with a traveler down to New Orleans right after Katrina. He took me down and showed me the routes that they take. And so I know where they go at what seasons, but you're still it's still sort of random. So they're like, like butterflies, you kind of have to be ready when they're there to take their photos. And I have a book of pictures, and they know each other. And so I show them, the book that I have of the other travelers that I've taken sort of serves as a way to access the culture, because they recognize other travelers. And so then they feel comfortable with me. So it's very fast. It's like usually I'll see them, they're there for 5 minutes, they're usually catching a train, and then they're off to somewhere else. So.
And you can't trace them after.
Mm-mm.
I think we have time for just a few more if anyone else wants to talk. Jamie, let me unmute you. There you are.
Hi, everybody. So behind me, and I can't get it any closer, is one of the poodles The artist is Claire Huber, who graduated just a few years ago. This is from the ASE. There was a series of about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 of them. They're all beautiful, brightly colored, very active, and it's just a joy to have. I think that one of PAFA's Instagram posts or a post about next year's ASE had one of the paintings on it. So perhaps you've seen that. But it's a lot of fun. And then I have another one that I didn't even think about until just now. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but I'll try to hold it up.
Yeah.
So this is another painting from a PAFA student show. It's not typically something that I would have purchased. I don't recall the artist's name, but it's a huge painting. It's like 4 feet by 6 feet. And I just fell in love with the dog. And I'm not really particularly even a dog person, although I do like dogs, but I just love that painting. So those are my 2 PAFA dogs, both acquired from the annual student exhibition. And probably what I'm thinking now is if I looked harder, I could probably find another dog or 2 somewhere in my PAFA collection, but I'm very happy to have these. And the students love dogs, and they've now their dogs become my pets.
Now, don't you have cats?
I do.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I do.
That's good. You share the love.
Yes, one of them was right behind me a moment ago, and usually she kind of jumps up when I'm doing a Zoom meeting and tries to get into my lap because she's a big attention seeker.
Yeah.
But the cats get along with the dogs just fine.
Good, good. Thanks, Jamie.
Sure.
And Monica, if I can find you, or whoever can find you, we will unmute you.
Hello.
There we are. Perfect. Hi.
With Catfish the dog. I guess the rescue, they thought he looked like a catfish, so they named him Catfish.
Oh.
Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of artwork I got at an event. One of my favorite artists, Gemma Carell, she made a little simplified cartoon of him.
Oh.
But it just cracked me up because he's a little bit difficult to kind of capture his essence, but just with all the crazy hair and everything.
Yeah.
I also have more of a digital piece that a buddy of mine created. And then just some own personal work. I always grew up with schnauzers. So my dad and I, we'd created a book, so I did a couple of the illustrations, but just get out of the way, but just a little Kramer. He was always he was grumpy but lovable, so.
Very cool, yeah.
But
grumpy but lovable, that's the ideal.
Yeah, right? Best of them are.
Thank you. And I got Jessie, there you are. Unmuted.
Hi everyone. I don't have a dog, unfortunately, not yet. So I've really enjoyed living vicariously through you all and exploring some dogs and art. I have to right now just have my dog of the day calendar. And today's dog is a German Shepherd. I just wanted to share it with you all. And it says that a German Shepherd dog mix looks ready to see that justice is served. But I kind of feel like, and I think they said that, well, because of whatever German Shepherd's reputations. And I don't know, the background kind of looks like, I don't know, like the dome of a church or something. So I thought that could be like a little art history tie-in. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It does bring up a great point, Jessie. Christina did bring up a good point that maybe, if appropriate, we might want to unmute ourselves and sing a little song for you, being that it is your birthday. And if everyone is willing to sing Jessie happy birthday.
Yes. Yes.
Give it a go.
Thank you. So nice.
Okay, I guess I'm leading it.
You're leading it because I'm not.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday to you.
Everybody, so nice. Thank you.
That's only one half of a hand washing.
All right. Any last minute comments or shares? Karen, anybody want to?
You know, I think one of the things that's been a top discussion is what will our dogs do when we do go back to work and we don't, and can we bring them with us now? They seem to be more attached to us now than they ever have been. So it's interesting to know what will happen when we're able to go back to work and how our dogs are going to cope. But I do like the comment about the allowance to have dogs in your artwork, and it just shows a really lovely personal side, a regal side in some cases historically, but also just a human side nonetheless. So I really also appreciate this conversation.
Ditto.
Oh, Lily raised her hand. Yes.
Hi. So I don't have any contemporary art pictures of dogs, but I collect vintage postcards like from the early 20th century. So let's see if I can show you. We've got this fella right here from, I don't know, but he says Christmas wishes. I'm not sure what he has to do with Christmas, but he's adorable. And we've got this one here that's a dog and a cat that says best wishes. So those are my contributions for the day.
Nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you. This has been really, really fun. I appreciate you all getting together, joining us tonight and sharing your homes and your dogs and your dog art. It's been great to spend the evening with you all. So thank you. And then Abby, did you want to say any last words? There you are.
Yeah, I'm in the mix. No, I just also wanted to say thank you, everyone. This is literally my favorite day of work I think I've ever had. Really amazing. And to see so many smiles and so many dogs in one place is just really, it's done wonders for my mood. So I hope it's done something for yours. And it's so great to have this community here. And yeah, thank you all for sharing. We'll have a video of this online in the next couple of days. So if you have friends who love dogs who've missed it, you can point them to PAFA's YouTube channel. And of course, check out more future events. We have to do something dog themed again, just because this is so much fun. So again, thank you all and cheers.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody, have a good night.
Bye.
I love watching everyone like disappear.
I know. I was making sure we ran out of time because my one friend who talked to Monica has a picture of me digitally on a dog. So I was worried she was going to share it.
That was going to be shown.
Yeah, we were just waiting around to see, but yeah. Anyways, she's there, but it was lovely. Thanks, Jodi. That was so much fun.
That was fun. Thanks, Abby.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.